Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Enda Olivier. This is my name and some information about me. I come from South Africa, Namago. Yeah, and I have been in Korea now little more than 3 years. I'm very happy here. I believe that the culture of Korea is between East and West, which makes it easy for us, for most of us, to adapt to. And I find the Korean people very friendly and very kind. Thank you very much. So I want to tell you something that I've written here on my page. You can read also. And I lived a long time in Durban, in South Africa. And especially in Durban, it's a subtropical climate. All year, like it is now in summer here. Winter just a little bit cooler. So it's always green, there's always lots of flowers, there's lots of colors. And we also have an Indian community there. Many Indian people from India that live in South Africa. And I don't know if you know their culture, they're very colorful. The clothes and the textures, right? So I was influenced by that. I always loved color. But when I was there and painting there, my paintings were extremely colorful. And it was also in the time that South Africa got a new government. And there were many changes in South Africa. Some people were happy, most people were unhappy about it. And it was of turmoil. People had a hard time, many people, black people and white people. And only years later, I saw in my paintings that I did then, the emotion. It was very strong emotion. I didn't realize it at the time. But before that, when I painted, I liked, can you see this one with the flowers? I liked the beautiful things. I used to paint anything that was beautiful to me. And this one, when I started painting, only for a long time I did not paint. And here in Korea, when I started painting, I looked for beautiful things again. And I think it was because I have peace here in Korea, and I am happy here. And then these are two of seasons, winter and autumn. I also did summer and spring. And that is because in Korea, the changes of the seasons are so beautiful. Especially in Durban in South Africa, the changes, there's almost no change. So this impressed me and influenced me, and I love that. And then these two on this side are my latest ones, and they are completely something different. And I actually don't know how this is going to develop. Here in Korea, I feel it's a new life for me. And maybe I will have to go back to South Africa, but this is something new that started here. And I want to thank you for making my stay here in Korea so pleasant. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ramona Pavilionis, and my work is on the far right and back wall. Being here today is another one of my dreams to come true. Firstly, I'd like to thank Boren and her ongoing patience and assistance with the show. I also would like to thank Melanie Stein, Kurt Donald, Enda Olivier, Patrick Sarah, Tamoy, Asaga, and Sarah Neff for making this a reality. Without friends, I don't know if I could have done it myself. I remember after I left Korea and I went back to Canada for a year, images of Korea would spring up in my mind, such as rosy-cheeked children running to the corner store after work with their baekwan to buy some savory delights. And another time I remember, I sit there in Canada and I remember the colorful fruits and the ajumas and the jashis outside and the cabs lined up. All these images would come back into my mind. In the fall in my classroom in Sinchon Sangnan Elementary School, I would sit there and I would hear Pansari music coming through the window, classical music, and then the warm, toasty scent of rice cakes would linger through the window. Such bliss, I think. Gee, I miss those moments in Korea. My dear co-teachers, Kim Won-ju and Mrs. Lee, took me under their wing and introduced me to fascinating new, colorful culture. How I longed to experience all that again, and little did I know that I would end up at Suncheon National University, Suncheon 대학교. It was thrilling. Art and design have always surrounded me. Art and design have always surrounded me from a young age. My mother used to like to draw, my aunts, uncles. My grandmother had 10 children and designed and sold all their clothes. My mother is still a colorful fashionista today. She loves color and clothing. My dad loved to sing and was a draftsman. He loved working with his hands. So I think creativity ran in the family. I drew a tree one day and showed it to my mother, and she said, "It's important. Go outside and look at that tree. Look how the leaf is going from the branch. It's not just a fun." So I remember that from a young age, and I was really kind of inspired by nature all around me. My colors change through the way I feel, but lately it's been blues, turquoise, greens. I love water, and I love nature. So Monet inspired me at a young age. I think you're all familiar with Monet and his water lilies. So Suncheon 대학교 has also a water lily pond, and I walk by there and it just inspires me to paint. What can I say? Marc Chagall, his whimsical figures, dreamlike images. So that's really how I create from my subconscious and from the way I feel that day. I look at a white surface, and then from it, I get scared, and I just can't work. I'm afraid to touch that, and that happens to a lot of artists. So I had one teacher who said, just apply one color, and just start, and let go of the fear. So that really helped me. And the use of color in chemistry, of color, and the way the eye sees color fascinates me. I believe I'm a colorist, and to mix the color for me comes very easy. So anyway, to those aspiring artists, I want to say that lose the fear of being in front of the white surface. And remember, there are always people who won't like your work, but there's always someone who will. So just trust in yourself and have faith. And thanks again for being here. I really love being in Korea. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donald. I'm from South Africa. As a child, I remember reading about some place in a novel. It was a fantasy novel. And he was describing a landscape. And I felt as if I knew that place, even though I'd never been there. It wasn't a real place, but I knew it. I knew that place intimately. And that meant to me that the writer also knew that place. So the writer and I had this, well, as far as I was concerned, a very profound bond. Made me feel less alone in the world. However, as the years went by, I learned that writers weren't all they were cracked up to be, except my dear mother, of course. They were often, as people, very disappointing. So it was really not necessarily what they intended that went into the novel. That I got out of it was not what they intended. I got something out of it that was not put in there consciously necessarily. When I was younger, I didn't know anything about archetypes or the universal unconscious. But now that I do, I can obviously ascribe those experiences to that. The painting, my painting is on the left, the one in the center, it's probably not very clear right now, but it's a landscape which isn't very clear, murky if you like, and there's a figure in the front which is also not very well formed. That figure is actually the protagonist of a novel, and the landscape is the inner world, if you like, the heart of the writer. The writer has ventured into the world of the imagination and there discovered an image, and that image is being born, so to speak. It's not quite clear for him yet what it is, so it's being born. And as far as I'm concerned, ideas exist already. They're all there, and we discover them. It's due to our own character, our own qualities, our own personalities that we find particular ideas. That's why they're all different. It's not that we create ideas, we discover them. And I don't see an artist as a creator necessarily, but as an explorer, kind of a discoverer of sorts. The reason I say that landscape is the artist's heart is because we all know, if I say to you, if you were a landscape, what would you look like? You'd probably be able to give me a sort of vague description of maybe if you're feeling bleak and desolate, you paint a desert or something like that. And but there's no, it's never that clear. It's never that specific. If you were to actually express your own inner landscape, if you like, hence the sort of incompleteness of some of the areas in the landscape and the murkiness, the sort of twilight effect in the painting. The other picture there, can't really call it a picture even, has a lot of writing in it. When I remember once reading a book by Tom Wolfe called The Painted Word, in which he was arguing against the usual idea that modern art should be abstract, conceptual, etc., etc. He was saying that those things are really illustrations. They're just painted words. You can't understand anything unless somebody just tells you what it is. And this was an attempt at making the painting speak and the words are the illustration. It tells a little story, and in the story, the character thinks, perhaps I'm a character, perhaps I'm not real, maybe I'm fictional, maybe I'm inside the story. I was writing the story in a notebook, and when I looked, suddenly that finger was there. I didn't put it there. And so I decided to try again. And I put it on a canvas this time. And again, once I finished the particular sentence, the finger was there. And I thought to myself, why is it that if you can traverse these worlds, if you like, he didn't appear as a real finger? And then I realized it's because he can't, he's fictional. He has to appear as a picture, hence picture. And the final picture painting on the last one at the end there is a hand. You'll see it's divided into two sections. The first section is blank, and it represents the realm of infinite possibility. When the artist sits down in front of an empty canvas or an empty page, what they're looking at is the world of infinite possibility, infinite ideas, but that world is constrained by the personality and nature of the artist. And so when infinite possibility and character collide or come together, you have probability. And that's the image on the right-hand side, probability. Because it's more likely that an angry person is going to paint an angry picture. And then the third panel, which you can't see, well you can, is the actual picture. It's the actual world, the actual realm. So you have infinite possibility, probability, and actuality. I know they seem like all the big ideas. It's called A Picture, oh no, sorry, that's the other one. I forgot to tell you, the title of the other one is A Picture Paints 1,000 Words. And I've lost my place. ultimately, I believe that art is about communication. That's why I want the people. If I paint something, I want it to at least hint at what I'm talking about. You know, I once went to an exhibition or partook in one where one guy took a piece of bubblegum and stuck it on the wall. And you know, maybe it was a very profound idea, but nobody knew what he was talking about. They were standing there looking very, you know, interested and fascinated, and nodding sagely to each other, but nobody really knew what he was going on about. And the only way they could have known was if he'd actually told them with words. And I would not like to do that. I want to move away from that, and at least I want to keep some mystery, of course, and get people to think. But I'm not saying people want to think about a particular thing. I mean, and so the painting itself must lead people into that area, that specific area of thought. Thank you very much.